My first introduction to Community of Christ was an invitation to attend a local congregation almost 15 years ago. Seeing the tender gentleness of a pastor interacting with an autistic child's impromptu trumpet solo, instead of dismissing it during a worship service, melted the disheartened resistance that held me back from discovering any spiritual home. As someone who spent 20 years as a faith refugee, disaffected by fundamentalist obligations and expectations, it was quite refreshing to bear witness to the kindness and patience of a community whose spiritual language spoke plainly to the deep yearning welling up in my aching soul. And it gave voice to the nudge I had long ignored until then. In that instance, the spirit and presence of that congregation helped open a doorway of transformative experiences that continue to be nurtured in me today. And I'm still drawn in every day by the underlying desire of this church's teachings to call everyone, members, seekers, and all folks, to strive to live out an open and accepting expression of inclusion through loving and compassionate grace, action, and embrace. That really resonates with me. And it's kind of the theology that I get. And back when I started attending, even though the enduring principles and mission initiatives were new concepts for folks, and sections 162 and 163 of the church's Doctrine and Covenants provided a context for understanding and relating to them better, I had never seen such progressive messaging and contemporary beliefs available to members of a church before. And I had belonged to several different denominations in the past, so this was surprising to me. These elements of Community of Christ identity, they struck a chord in me. And I remember wanting to shout out a rally cry after section 163 was released, excited by how strongly it grabbed at me as it challenged us to embrace who we are truly called to be as a movement. It was somewhere around then that my sense of belonging shifted from feeling like I was home to knowing I had found my spiritual home. At first affirmed by baptism and then through confirmation, but it was reaffirmed with the release of section 164 and the lens it gave me to look through at the new journey I had embarked upon. Since then, I see these core values continually come alive everywhere I turn and everywhere I go across the church, from reunion to World Conference, to attending meads and its spiritual retreats. It was the one constant that, to my joy and surprise, I always found in people, no matter what congregation, campground, or country I visited or that they were from. I had never encountered such a unity of identity anywhere before, especially given its diversity. This definitively helped me be endeared to this self-humbling community. My hopes and visions for our future path would be that we continue to represent a collective set of values and principles, embraced equally by all members, but in a way that helps lift the words of our scriptures off the pages and into a voice and language that a world which struggles to name that which they seek needs for inner peace, healing, and reconciliation. While at the same time that we can maintain our momentum as a movement toward new understandings, expressions, spiritual practices, and relationships that are characteristic of God's nature by joining in mutuality with others who we might already identify as doing the mission of Jesus Christ, even though perhaps they're not naming it that way, such as community groups and social service agencies, nonprofit organizations, business associations, civic service clubs, local peace and justice initiatives, ecumenical activities, interfaith events, and so on. And that in Canada, we are brave enough to expand missionally beyond the sometimes conservative messaging of the larger church and into the context of the unique spiritual landscape of our post-Christian culture to better understand one another and foster nurturing relationships. And may we be a church that is constantly seeking to understand itself, never forgetting to reflect on our own journey as the stranger, longing to discover a sense of belonging in a world of imprinted beliefs and behaviors, responding to the invitation to leave our baggage at the door. Let us discern together the community that values the otherness in us, that we might desire to pay our experiences forward as an expression of gratitude for the grace that formed us. Perhaps we can be the best kept secret no longer.